Full disclosure news and commentary number 24. Hey, we're back with another one. Exciting week as always. The commentary is going to be about James Caleb Kitchens, the talent acquisition and production manager for Viral Pro. Viral Pro, of course, has been around for a few years, but this was a great year for them, and they're making a lot of noise, and no one's making more noise than good old James. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about him, but really use him as a platform to talk about wrestling in general. Groups on the rise, people with ambition, that kind of thing. Stick around for that part, of course. We have an unboxing. What? An unboxing. Somebody sent me something. Sent Steven Platinum something. That's exciting. From the Fulfillment Center. We'll have to see what it is. If you send me stuff, address below. Whatever you send me, I'm going to unbox it during the video for the first time. First time I'll get to see it. And if it's a t-shirt, I'll put it on. If it's whatever else, I'll use it. That's probably leaving me open for a lot of... Yeah, so it goes. So is the word of Steven Platinum. All right, we're about to jump into it. We do need to talk about my Patreon subscribers. Appreciate you very much. Of course, videos still going out once a week that only they have access to, with all the dirt and the skinny and the unsubstantiated rumors and deep dives into drama. And more people than ever are sending me unsubstantiated rumors. How awesome is that? Thanks to Brian and Larry. Not that Larry, another Larry. Logan. Rob Rod, Robert, Myron, and Double Dropkick. Subscribers are going up on YouTube. It's all wonderful. Thanks, everybody, a whole lot. Let's unbox this, bitch. See what it is. United States Postal Service sent this. See what it is, see what it is. Excited, excited. What the fuck? I'm trying to figure out who sent it. Whoever sent it, again, I don't know who. Our first shirt that was sent, with Scooby-Doo and The Last of Us and all that, I don't know who sent that, and I don't know who sent this. What is it? Oh, dope as shit. Dope as shit. Look at that. What? I might have seen this one on Ripped Apparel. Someone thought of me and sent it. Fucking dope. Mortal Kombat samurai shit. Let's put this bitch on and let's jump into it. On my television, people have been writing saying, you should let us know what you're watching on mute on the television. I was watching Rounders, which is one of my favorite movies. Matt Damon poker movie. And a stellar performance from a man who is a great actor doing a Russian accent, very aggressive. John Malkovich as Teddy KGB, the Russian mobster poker player guy, who has all the overacted lines, chewing up scenery, eating Oreo cookies. Fucking great movie. If you've never seen it, you should see it at least once. And if you need more incentive, 2 different women who I find quite attractive in it. All right. Championship Wrestling from Georgia, from Dublin, Georgia. I remember when that show could not draw flies to shit, but they're claiming 170. That show is on the 14th. Also on the 14th was WrestleMerica 275 by their count. but I saw pictures. That looks about right. A note that I made. Normally, I just say the show. I might say where it's from. I'll say the crowd, but I usually say very little else because you can always look on gwhnewsandnotes.blogspot.com if you want to get full reports. I don't really see that as my job of reciting reports, but I did put a note there. WrestleAmerica, which sometimes I look at those cards and I'm like, it looks fairly spotty, or it looks like certain things are booked well and other things are not. I wrote down solidly booked card. So that means it caught my eye. I do read the reports. I do read everything that people send me, etc., etc., etc. Anarchy, Myron wrote in a report of the show, which was much appreciated. They only drew 88. However, Myron was very excited in the direction they were going and said that they had a very hot crowd, especially when you're supposed to have a hot crowd, which is both upturns for Anarchy. So the crowd, while a little down, we'll see if they've set this. I would argue that that crowd is at 88 because wrestling fans are funny. If things aren't going spectacular, it actually takes a show or two or three or even as much as half a year before you suffer the effects. Now, if they're truly on the upswing, as Myron has said, and I looked at that Anarchy card and I liked it a lot, and I think they set up a lot of things for the future, then that 88 should go up. But it may take a show or two. Yeah. People tend to be very reactive to things and push the panic button far too often. Things move in trends and things sometimes take a little time. The tail comes after the whale sometimes. You know what I mean? What else? The Fighting for a Cause. That show, though, it happened on the 6th, so it should have been a part of my last report. The report wasn't up yet, but this is a show where I'm going to make an exception, and I'm going to talk about it now. Fighting for a Cause. John the Body getting introduced into the Hall of Fame. A lot of sort of dream match type scenarios happened. A lot of guys from a lot of different groups came together. It actually seemed like a pretty well put together card to boot. A lot of fun, a lot of money raised. Again, look at that report on gwhnewsandnotes.blogspot.com, and a link is there if you want to donate money to the cause. All right. Now we're going to get to the news portion, the more newsy portion rather than just summing up shows that happened. NCW. What? Yes. NCW is going to be starting off Fridays, starting October 4th. And it's Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment that put up the announcement. And they're going to do a show. I did further inquiries just to make sure that this was accurate. Weekly Friday shows. With the intended goal, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but you know how I am, I'll say it anyway. With the intended goal of having a development spot in the state of Georgia, so everybody can benefit through talent being developed there. Now, they attempted to do Friday shows to middling success and eventually pared them down and then got rid of them and whatever. It looks like Murder and others are going to head this one up and seem bound and determined to do these Friday shows in order to develop wrestlers. That seems to be their intended goal. AWE seems like they've switched their goal from we're going to take over wrestling in the state and show everybody what Georgia wrestling's all about and blah, 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 blah. And now they, too, seemed more focused on sort of a developmental aspect towards a promotion. The last promotion that did this was mine. So, of course, it's near and dear to my heart. And I'm a big believer in running weekly shows when you can. Just knowing that if you're going to do that, your intended consequence can't be you're going to get rich. Doesn't seem like that's the goal with this at all. It seems like it's really about developing guys and that kind of thing. I'm all fucking for it. I hope it goes well. I'll be curious to see who books it. Because it's a great opportunity for somebody to really get their booking chops in. Maybe they'll have more than one or two people book it. We shall see what's going on, but that's exciting. It's noteworthy. It's newsworthy. They asked me to talk about it. I'm more than happy to talk about it. I would be remiss to not talk about it. NCW starting Fridays, October 4th in the Landmark Arena. which is a building and product inside that will not die, that continues to keep its heart beating and hopefully will begin to thrive in a big way once again. All right. Let's talk about this one fall GCW thing. Um, in essence, apparently it was told to one fall students, and there is a number that have gotten trained there, that they were required to wrestle for GCW. Now, GCW certainly needs the fucking help, don't get me wrong. And people wanted to know what I thought about this. And of course, more information comes in, and I don't have all of it, and I won't pretend to. But what do I think of it as a general move? I think it is a bad thing to tell people what they have to do, right? I think it's a bad thing to tell wrestlers where they can and cannot wrestle. Now, I had a philosophy in Platinum Championship Wrestling, and I understand that not everybody is going to follow what I did. But I was always of this mind. Wrestle wherever the fuck you want. You paid me to train you, so I work for you. Now, because I charged very little to train you, when you do PCW shows, I generally will not pay you. It's good. I consider it a continued part of your training. Plus, I fucking charged you less than other places would. So you should want to wrestle there. And then people did want to wrestle there. But other people from the outside wanted to wrestle there because I booked them better than they got booked anywhere else, no matter what the fuck people want to say now and how they want to fucking try to paint it. At the end of the day, there were many guys who were considered, let's say, the much weaker part of a tag team that wanted to get a solo booking, and I would book them as stars. There's people who were part of maybe a group of guys who wanted to stand out, and I would book them in such a way that they could stand out. Maybe there were guys who needed a gimmick tweak, and I could take you from being a joke somewhere else to being a fucking star with me. I always had the confidence as the booker and promoter that I didn't give a fuck if the show down the street was using you also, because I, in my mind and my heart, knew that I was the best, and so I could book you better than anybody else. So what the fuck did I care if the show down the road was using you? I also, though, full disclosure, had the luxury of not worrying about who's drawn, who is it, and all that kind of shit. Here's my rant, and here's the truth. Nobody's a fucking draw. Nobody's a fucking draw. No local guy's a fucking draw. No local person's a fucking draw. We're in a different dynamic altogether. Nobody's a fucking draw in and of themselves. And that's okay. It's actually preferable. The bad part is, back in the day, you could claim to be a draw and claim to be talent. And so promoters would have to deal with you differently in a way that was more like a partnership. And they would be almost forced to do so. And because talent in some ways is more expendable and replaceable, there's a danger that they will get treated as such. I don't think groups by and large in Georgia treat talent that way, but it could happen. And the long-term effects for your promotion, if you continue to treat talent that way, would be negative. I was going to dive more into the one fall GCW story and how it affects Southern Honor, but I've decided not to do that because Dylan, their booker, is going to take a mature approach instead of it's war between us and QT, is going to have a dialogue with QT, which I think is a very fucking mature thing for Dylan to do. I kind of admire it. And maybe I wasn't supposed to put that business out on the street, but I just fucking did because this is full fucking disclosure. So there's going to be more about that story. I can't wait to hear about it. I will say this. It seems like QT has already backed off on the hard thing of like, if you fucking trained here, you better not go wrestle for them and you better wrestle for GCW. Look, let's just all be honest about GCW. They're in fucking trouble. And this is another indication that they're fucking desperate. When's the last time you heard a fucking thing about them? That's me listening to the watch. When's the last time you heard about GCW? The guy bought it. Nothing. Get on the fucking ball. Promoters promote. Promoters promote. Constant lesson. Billy Bell. Oh God, how many times did I receive that? 11. What is it with these fucking scrubs and their 11-second clips? Jesus Christ, these guys have to be the fucking worst lays in history, I'll tell you that much. 11 fucking seconds. Rolling! Yep. Billy Bell, March Across Georgia is going to happen sometime in 2020. Way to nail it down, mullet grandpa. Holy fucking shit. And Billy Bell's talking about, why should I walk when I could ride one of my ponies? And he had his 3 horses there. I love the one horse that leaves and people were putting I'm a head out on it. Holy fuck, I was dying. But those ponies were really, really tiny. And I guess if Billy Bell's going to ride one of those tiny little ponies, it's probably a vain attempt to make his dick look bigger. Here's to you, mullet grandpa. I didn't think it was even worthy of having my kids make fun of it. And I'm kind of disappointed that they're not calling it the Mullet March anymore. It's already transforming into something really lame and nonsensical, as opposed to ridiculous and hilarious. Now it's just, we're going to march across Georgia across 2020. Lame as fuck, but some people will say, but Billy Bell's keeping his name in the news. He's so smart, blah, blah, blah. By the way, in spite of the fact that he has me blocked, oh, I blocked Stephen Platinum. Oh, fuck me. Dangerous Danny Horn. Somebody got me that promo he cut about him and Sabu. When is that happening? Holy fuck, it's happening kind of soon, isn't it? At some point. Sabu, you built the house at ECW, but I built this house, and it's him with the kendo stick, and it's fuck a duck. And there was some kind of plea for Larry to come to the show. I guess that was their attempt to get Larry Goodman to come to the show. But they didn't send the clip in to Georgia Wrestling History so Larry could see it. And you're doing it wrong, Stranglehold. You're doing it wrong. Let's get into the commentary. James Caleb Kitchens. Recently, there was a thing where a sponsor for Bushido, a group that I've gone on record many times as saying, quit fucking talking about Viral, quit naming your shows as a diss to Viral. It hasn't helped their show. In fact, it's hurt their show because I know of at least a couple of notable talents in Georgia that refuse to wrestle for Bushido because of sort of their childish thing with Viral. But James Caleb Kitchens, who now I see his posts quite a bit because, you know, after years of being mad at me or whatever the fuck, you know, everything comes around, right? I keep doing my thing and people who hate me don't hate me as much and whatever. And that's good. That's good. I'm all about détente. It's another reason I was so impressed that Dylan was going to handle things with QT privately and try to get it worked out instead of creating this fucking war publicly. And you notice what? Do you think Gary Lamb wanted to fucking go to war publicly over it? I bet he did. But Dylan takes the mature stance of fuck. Let's fucking work this shit out. Smart, right? James Caleb Kitchens, though, Viral has come on and he is feeling himself. Now, full disclosure, James sent me the information about the sponsor who had the child molestation thing and all of that, probably with the hopes that I would put it out right away. But he put it himself out right away. Then Cameron Cade, they pulled the sponsor. But then Cameron Cade kind of made excuses or something, or he just wasn't to James Caleb Kitchen's satisfaction. And so James, who of course has an axe to grind with Bushido. Folks, when I tell you there's a fucking feud happening, the feud's happening. And can you see how this has manifested itself yet again? Does it mean that sponsor wasn't a piece of shit? Does it mean that perhaps Bushido could have vetted him earlier, though I think James is harping on that point way too much. Um, does everybody vet their sponsors, or are you happy that you just get the fucking money? I think you're just happy that you get the fucking money, right? But once you're made aware um, that your sponsor is perhaps a piece of shit, child molesting shit, you look into it, then you deal with it appropriately. Then James went on his kind of wah wah. Why am I being painted as the bad guy? I did this great thing and blah 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 blah. So it got me to thinking, why is James being sort of why why does it feel, let's be honest with each other. Look at me. I'll look at you. Why does it feel, even though on the surface of it, James revealing the story about the sponsor who's a child molester, we can all agree child molester's bad. Wow. That's mighty brave of us all, by the way. Child molester's bad. Sponsor who's a child molester, bad. You should get rid of them and not make excuses. Just get rid of them. As other people have done when sexual things have come up in the past, right? Southern Fried and, other groups were using this one security guard that had a rape charge from back in the day. And he served 10 years for it. They got rid of him when I revealed it. Zachary Blaine, who snuck his way back into shows, they dropped him, right? When I revealed it. And I didn't see any kind of public outcry, nor did I get a private outcry of fuck Stephen Platinum for doing it. So why is James getting backlash? Is it because it is in some ways self-serving? Is it because they, Viral, are sort of the beneficiaries of it because of their feud with Bushido? I think it's more complicated than that. And in some ways simpler than that. What do I mean? I'll just say it. I was going to kind of dance around this, but I'm going to not dance around it because I think James Caleb Kitchens, or at least his public persona that he put out there, will appreciate what I'm about to say. James, you come across as a dickhead and an asshole, and not in a good, forthright way. In the way that people are just like, that fucking guy, he's just a blowhard, and there's something about him that just fucking irks the fuck out of me. Am I wrong, wrestling world? Is there something about James Caleb Kitchens that just irks the fuck out of you? Why is this important? Wrestling world, it is important. He is, by his own admission, the production manager and talent acquisition at Viral Pro Wrestling. I can't even remember the name of the owner, and we had him on Tipping Point. I think it was a name that started with a J. And the reason I can't remember it is because he's pretty nondescript. Obviously, he's playing the role of the good cop, and James is playing the role of the bad cop. Nothing wrong with that. Except for the fact that now most people who don't go to their shows associate Viral with James Caleb Kitchens. And the question is, do you like that guy? Well, Steve, that it's not important. It's about keeping it real. But here's the thing. The persona, the public persona of James Caleb Kitchens is partly false. Or at least I hope it is. I hope that he isn't always this grandstanding, loud asshole. I don't think he is. And I don't think he's doing himself a service or Viral. Viral has reached a certain level right now. And success is as big a test as struggle. And because Georgia wrestling and wrestling in general has been in a boom period for long enough that we're seeing a number of groups rise up to a certain level, now we're getting to see how people are. And what we're seeing is, from James, is a guy that generally you don't want to hang out with. And I think he can be better. And I think Viral deserves better. if they're going to continue to succeed and grow, at some point, you can't create an atmosphere where people are wishing for your downfall so they in turn can gloat. And let's be honest with ourselves, people. When you see a post by him, isn't the messenger the thing that gets you emotionally invested? Or don't you have an emotional reaction to the fact that it's coming from him? And whatever the message is gets obscured by the fact that it is him. That's a failure on his part. And he can argue with me all day. And you might be wondering why I'm so focused on this. Because I want him and Viral to succeed. And the way he's going now, there's lessons to be learned. Okay, so he went to Southern Honor's show. And he never introduced himself to Gary Lamb. He took some selfies with different people in the crowd or whatever the fuck, but he didn't introduce himself to Gary Lamb. You're a shot caller at the league that you're trying to claim is the biggest one in Georgia and should be up for all of these awards, and you're big shit, and you don't go introduce yourself to the fucking kingpin of that show? It's fucking weird. And he's been to Southern Honor shows on more than one occasion. That's fucking weird. You can't be a player if you don't meet the other players. And you got to eat shit and introduce yourself. Gary Lamb certainly does it. Anybody of note does it. People would come to PCW shows, introduce themselves. I would treat them kindly in turn. It's what you do. I go to shows. Yeah. There comes a point where you have to go from being scrappy, loud, rebel guy to grown up. Because with success comes responsibility. And pro wrestling and individual pro wrestling groups will never be fully taken seriously if we can't see growth and development as people. And I'm just saying, James Caleb Kitchens, as I see him now, he might be going, Stephen Platinum, fuck you, I am who I am, and I like who I am. Here's a bet. Here's a challenge. I think in 2 years, James Caleb Kitchens, you won't be anything like you are now. You may have a lot of the same beliefs, but I think the way that you approach things and approach people will be very different. And hopefully it will be in a great way. And if that's the case, that means how you're acting now, you are being an asshole. And you are obscuring the messages, positive as they may be, with who you are. Because people aren't allowed to see them because you handle things in a way that's oft-putting. And it's oft-putting in a way that's not serving you or Viral in any beneficial way. So why not self-assess, make the change now? How many people in wrestling does this apply to? Everybody! That's the ultimate lesson. That's the ultimate commentary. Self-assess now and move yourself towards the path of the person that you want to be in 2 years and get it there faster. You'll be happier. Wrestling will be better. And when you do something good, people's first instinct won't be, they're just doing that to be self-serving. I don't fucking buy it. It's fake news and all the rest of the dumb shit that dumb people say nowadays. And instead, people will go, I'm going to give this person a chance because I like them. Or at least I'm going to give this person a chance because they don't seem like a blowhard, know-it-all piece of shit asshole. The days of the blowhard, know-it-all piece of shit asshole are coming to an end. Now, you may be looking at me right now and saying, oh, the irony that Stephen Platinum's saying that. I guess Stephen Platinum will be out of a job. Yeah. I might resemble that remark a little bit. Am I a blowhard? Sure. I'm expressive. No doubt about that. Am I a know-it-all? Yeah, most definitely. Am I an asshole? Some would say most certainly. But I'll say this. I have less enemies than I had a month ago. I've acquired new ones, but I've lost more enemies than I've gained. Can you say the same? I don't have any enemies, Steve. Then you're doing this shit wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you got to pretend to be everybody's friend or say that everybody's your friend. David Manders is now taking that route. Everybody's my friend. I like everybody. I like everybody. Right? Or let me just put it bluntly. If you're somebody who just rails against the fucking thing all the time and is always bitching and moaning and pissing, what happens is you'll find yourself on the outside looking in, like Josh Massey, Ace, who does have a great wrestling mind and has done wonderful things, but he is on the outside looking in. And when you read stuff that he writes, it's off-putting. And he deserves better than that. But he's the only one who can fix that. James Caleb Kitchens, I wish the same for you. Because in 2 years, your life is going to be different. Hopefully, you'll be closer to the person that you really want to be. Because I hope you don't want that for what you have now. You can do better. But you know, so can everybody else. Let me make that clear. But what you're going to do is you're going to find yourself on the outside looking in. And the few people who publicly support you, a lot of those motherfuckers, when I look on that list, are people who are already on the outside looking in, even if they don't realize it. And that's a shitty place to be. This has been Full Disclosure.